let me introduce ourselves first, and then we'll open it up and see if you guys have any particular questions. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Kirin. I'm the director of A Girl in School Uniform. I also work as a psychologist, so that's my full-time job, well, at being a professor of psychology. And then my part-time job is working as a psychologist. So I know for me that definitely influences the way that I like to direct and how I can kind of visualize my work. But that's me.
Oh, me. Hi, I'm Roya Hashemi. I'm 15 and I'm a student here in Dubai. And I just haven't. Oh, I play Belle. No, I play Steph.
Well,
it's been a long day.
For one line,
It's been a long day. I play Steph, the girl in school uniform. But yeah, I just really like the arts and I have an ongoing passion, and this has just been fun. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren. I play Belle. I do. Yeah, that's true. I am, for my job in Dubai is actually freelancing in terms of anything theatrical, so the performing arts. I run a company. I'm a founder and the creative director of Collaboratory, which is a company that is aiming to redefine the performing arts on a global stage, and that's basically what I do. So it means my job is all-encompassing and very different every single day, which is both exciting and sometimes maddening. Okay. Kirin?
Thank you. So yes, let's open it up and see if anyone had any particular questions.
Raise your hand and I'll come to you.
I'm intrigued.
Isabel's gonna. Thanks, Isabel. I know you've got a teacher and a uni professor, so we're quite happy to make you ask a question. Yeah.
Well, first of all, congratulations and thank you for doing this play because it seems extraordinarily difficult to stage. One of I have many questions. My first question is, how many of the stage directions were in the script, and how many did you have to devise as you were directing the play?
Great. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's actually very minimal stage directions in the script. So one thing it is quite emphatic about is that the blackout should be can't see your hand in front of your face. Dark. But then otherwise the way that she kind of indicates moment of pause is she just has a dash, and then it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to do with that. And the torch is not specified in the script, so that was something that I wanted to do. So that meant us doing a lot of torch work and playing around with that, which was really fun. And our torch was doing weird things on Friday. I was like, no, the one prop we really need. So Nika very kindly got us a backup one. So that's the one that you saw tonight. So, but yeah, otherwise it'll say blackout, and then that's it really. So, which gave us a lot of freedom, but it also that can be a bit intimidating, I find, because then you're not given any clarity on what it is that she's looking for there.
So, I had the same question really, but just more detail. I'm an audience member. So the stage directions that you chose the music, you chose the length of the blackout, because they weren't all the same length.
Correct.
And did you choose this low light thing during that blackout scene towards the end? All that was you as director?
Oh, that was me. No. When I first read the script, I thought, like full blackout. That sounds really interesting. That could be pretty challenging for people to sit in the dark for that length of time. So I thought it'd be good to have some elements of illumination. So I thought the torch would be good to indicate movement and to sort of indicate to the audience where they want you looking, but also to be a bit disorienting, like, well, is that actually where we're meant to be looking, or is that sort of misleading us in some way, some misdirection there, but also having that base. So the bar, we thought, well, when I was putting it together, I thought the bar is Belle's safe space. So that's where she always kind of retreats back to when she's feeling overwhelmed or challenged or scared or anything like that. So, and then it was Lauren's idea in terms of matching like her pink hair. And so then Mahmood, who did the set for us, was searching for a pink LED light, which he did very well. But yeah, one of the first images that came to mind for me was the set design, that I wanted it to be quite simple, to give them space and to not allow them too many opportunities to hit their knees or trip over or something. But the bar was always going to be there, and then I thought if we add the LED, then that's a nice bit of illumination. And I think we got some really, just the two of them sitting in front of it is a really nice shot. But yeah, otherwise she just describes that you're in a bar. It is meant to be, this is not a nice bar. That's all she says about the set design.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the characters. She describes the characters. Yeah. Belle is not a schoolgirl. She is anything but a schoolgirl. That's all she says.
Yeah.
Whereas Steph is a schoolgirl. So she's very descriptive in her language, but it gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility in terms of what you want to emphasize there. And did either of you guys want to add something? Because you asked about the music. I should give credit to Lauren in regards to the music. She really loves incorporating music into the stuff that she does. And so that was really instrumental, I think. I had some ideas for music, but she really helped to consolidate that and make it into a lot more clearly defined structure there. Did either of you guys want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll talk to that. So the music for me, it's actually one of my ways in terms of character work. I always work with music. I'm someone that literally exists in a world where there's always music in my house, in my office, in my car, backstage. So for me, it was really, really important to kind of create an environment. So even when you guys were coming in terms of the house music, it was a very thoughtful and considered approach. Like Kirin and I literally went through Spotify and we just added things to a playlist and then we pulled from there. And we tried as much as possible to choose songs that were very 80s rock heavy, because I figured that Belle was born in the 80s and there's like this idea of like her childhood that she keeps longing for. And so this idea of really emphasizing 80s rock, it's a really harsh sound. It's something that not everyone enjoys, which is crazy, but that's them. But it's just playing around with the lyrics. So playing with things like AC/DC's, Kick You When You're Down. And like just playing with different song choices. I find that very, very intriguing because I love the idea of making theatre cinematic in some ways. And I think that we really did achieve that within those blackout moments. There were little moments where like you actually use the beat of the song. Like Roya and I used to get ourselves pumped up using the one beat of the song because there's a change in beat, and we used to literally bounce backstage and then walk on so that there was a sense of a different energy on the stage. So that was really, really cool. I enjoyed that a lot, and she gave us a lot of freedom. Old Lulu.
Very nice.
What were you drinking?
That's a good question, ma'am, but actually it's just tea.
Oh. Yes.
Tea with a little bit of honey in it to make
Indeed.
it more palatable.
That's the throat. It's very good on stage.
I'm actually interested to know how each one of you, the actors, approach your characters, and then since it's a two-person play and for an hour and a half straight, how do you, each one of you, how do you approach memorizing the script and your lines?
Indeed. You go.
I go?
Yeah. Your dad asked the questions.
My dad did. Wow, I find, which is totally the opposite with Lauren, but I find script memorizing extremely easy. Like it comes very naturally to me, I think. When it comes, there's 90 pages that we had to memorize in total. So it's overwhelming at first because what I mainly do is improv as well. So that's totally just everything's on the spot. So I was like, oh, what is this? There's a whole book that we were given, and I think just the way I memorize is us doing it over and over and over and again, and just getting into the character of Steph, and that helped me memorize. It was not much else to it. Yeah.
I'm so impressed. I'm very jealous because, Roya can literally do a scene twice and then it's there, it's stuck in her mind. And then she finds her way around it, and that's obviously amazingly her improv training from the courtyard. Like, it's just such an amazing thing to watch someone who is genuinely the opposite of your own process. So for me, I'm Stanislavski trained from when I was at university. That was basically a dude who came up with an idea of how to code acting. So he basically said, if you follow these 9 steps, on the 10th step, you will become a really, really good actor. And actually his quote is, you will be open to the phenomenon of inspiration. I'm like, okay, geez. But it's literally, the process is so grounded in research, and I am an absolute nerd. So for me, I love it like getting to grips with the character, unpicking the layers, putting them back together. It's like a huge game of Tetris, and you're kind of figuring out how to place everything so that the layers make sense. And then of course with Roya coming in with the opposite kind of training and the opposite approach, it's been wonderful to have that freedom to kind of go, let me borrow a little bit from Roya and see where that takes me. And that's been really exciting, because in many instances I would usually be absolutely petrified in that green room before walking on stage, and this is the first time in Dubai, and I've been here for 6 years, that even for a full-length feature like this, I didn't have that sense of worry, because I think Roya's on stage and her improv training means if something does go wrong, she's also going to find a way around it, and then so will I. And that easy chemistry means that it's really just a lovely time to play on stage, and that's what we should be doing for an audience. So that's great.
I should really be going,
She's so good.
Yeah, and I would say, I would only add to that when I was doing auditions, when I did callbacks, it was a question that I did ask the people who I called back, like, how good are you at learning lines? Because it's huge pieces for the both of them. And there is 2 acts in the play, the script, but I'm just going to get rid of that. So the original way it's written at the end of Act 1 is when she says, so maybe, just maybe, where is Charlie? And then the lights, and then it breaks, and then the lights come up after the intermission. And I thought, like, there's such a really nice flow. I don't want to disrupt that. But I hope you guys sitting there for an hour and a half, what did it feel?
Which style of actor is easier to direct?
That's a great question.
Nice.
Who do you like more?
I have to pick my favorite child. I think probably. It's not that one is easier. I would agree with Lauren that the fact that Roy can just pick up the script so quickly is not my process. So I'm a little bit of both, I guess, because I think for me to learn my lines, I think about what's the agenda of this particular scene, and so where's the character heading, and then I'll chunk it up. So when I was talking to them, I'd be like, this is kind of your main word you want to get to in this bit, this bit, this bit, which might not have actually helped you guys, but that's sort of my process. So I think it's more aligned with Lauren's, but I think that they complemented each other really nicely, and it meant when we were going into this, I had my ideas as a director, but I wanted to make it very clear to both of these actors that this is meant to be a very collaborative process, because I know how challenging this is going to be for the two of you, so I want you to feel comfortable with me and with each other and with the stage. There's big portions that take place in blackout, so we want to have that sense of trust and just playing around with stuff. So I have my ideas, but certainly if there's a suggestion that you have, something you want to redo or try out, experiment with, then let's do that. And I think they were both very receptive to that. And I think Roy is so receptive because of her improv training, and Lauren's so receptive because as long as it makes sense in light of her understanding of the character. So I think that worked nicely, and they were able to bounce off each other really nicely there.
Oh my god. No, you.
What was the audition process like?
Oh, good question.
So I got, I'd never really, Kirin's a part of the DDG, which is a Dubai drama group, and I'd never worked with the DDG before, so I had one of my friends who was part of the group, and he was just like, hey, there are these auditions, why don't you go and try it out? And I was like, but it's script, it's not improv, I don't know, la la la. And I was like, you know what, fine, I'll try it. So then we came here and we did auditions here, and then I had my monologue ready, and I went in, and Kirin was there with Nikhil, and they were sitting down behind the table, and I was like so scared, and then I did my monologue, and it went pretty well. I was like, yeah, did my monologue, and then Kirin was just like, okay, you can stay here and then we'll call you back in another 5 or 10 minutes. And I was like, cool. Sitting there, I'm seeing all the other girls that are auditioning for the role of Steph too, and I'm like, oh my god, and they're all walking past me and they're like, hi, I'm like, And then I got called back into the room with Kirin, and there was another lady who was auditioning for the role of Belle, and she knew the script like off by heart.
Oh, wow.
She knew everything. She was like, yeah, just starting, and I had no idea what I was doing. And Kirin was like, yeah, Roy, like just do that. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was so sad, and like it didn't go well. Like in my opinion, I was like, that was horrible. So I remember like my mom I went into the car and I was like, that was the worst thing ever. Don't talk to me. I went home. I was like, you know what? It's fine. Blah 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 blah. And then I got a call back, and I was like, so it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Is what I'd say.
Yeah. Very similar in terms of process. So auditions are not something that I'm very comfortable doing actually, but I acknowledge that they're a part of the industry. So one of the nicest things that I think needs to be said about DDG and the way that they audition is that there is a very strong sense when you walk into the room that they are, it's like a familiar space. So it's not something that makes people purposefully trip up. There's been a lot of instances throughout my career where that's kind of been the vibe, you know, like how much can we push someone in an audition to see what they're made of? That's not really the process that I'm fond of. I think that it's quite ridiculous. And I think that DDG made me feel very like at home, which was very nice. I hadn't experienced that yet in Dubai. So for me, it was just a really, really interesting opportunity to kind of just do something. And in my audition, I actually walked in and said, I'm going to do something which is the opposite of what you should do in auditions, which is literally, if you're going for a drama, you should prepare a piece of dramatic text. I didn't do that. I did a piece of kids theatre because it's one of the things that I love doing, and I hadn't done that monologue in so many years. It's the monologue that was in the back of my head from 2010 when I did my university degree, and it's just stuck. And I was like, you know what, I feel like bringing her back. So I brought her back, and I performed it, and ironically now I actually see how very similar Belle's characterization is to someone who would be very comfortable with kids theatre, because kids theatre is a little bit crazy, it's a little bit chaotic, it's a little bit wild, and so it actually complemented itself quite nicely without even realizing. So I guess it was a good decision.
It worked.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it definitely caught my attention. And so the way that we auditioned and DDG, we might have particular people that we invite to audition, but one of our policies is to always have open auditions, which was great because I'd never worked with these two, and I'd seen Roya at the Courtyard but not in anything else, and so then it opens you up to make sure you consider all the different talent that's out there. And so I asked people to prepare their own monologue. And then when we sent the information out, they were given sides, so small portions of the script. One, it gives them an idea of the type of script, because I've read some sides and I'm like, I don't really like this script, and so then I haven't auditioned. So it gives them an idea of the tone of the play. And yeah, it would be cool, like, that was good. I'm going to have you do side 3 with, this other actor, so go out and spend 10 minutes just looking over. Don't need to memorize it, but just familiarize yourself with it, because chemistry for this play was really, really important, that I needed 2 people to really click. So I wanted to pair people up, and I didn't actually pair these 2 up during the auditions themselves, but they were both my first choice for it. So when we did callbacks, I paired them, but that was an online callback because I was in Australia at the time. But even when they were reading online, I was like, yep, I've got my Belle and my Steph. And the one thing I'd say that we've had very positive feedback, but the consistent thing is that the chemistry between these 2 is great. And even as soon as they started rehearsing together, it was like you had known each other for ages before. Yeah, it was just so easy, which definitely for a play like this, you really need that. And that made that whole process a lot easier for us as a team. Yeah.
And that's your first play directing?
Yes, my first full length. Thank you. Yeah, I've done some 10-minute plays, but yeah, I've read some scripts, and I was like, oh, this would be good, but that's a really complicated set, so that's not feasible to do. Like, we don't have a space in Dubai that would allow that to happen. Or my background is in forensic psychology, so I'm kind of oriented towards sort of darker content. So I've read some scripts and like they would never let that happen in Dubai, so I'm not doing that one. And so I kept waiting because I know how much work goes into it. So it was I've been offered scripts to do, and I was always like, I need something that I'm really excited about to maintain my momentum, because none of us are getting paid to do this. So you want to be really excited about it. And then I was on the Guardian website, and there was an old review of a production that they'd done a couple of years ago. I don't know how I stumbled across it, but I thought the premise of the play sounded really interesting. So I went online and I bought the script and had a read, and I thought, oh, this is it. Yeah.
How did you sell that to DDG then? Was it easy? Did you have to audition for your job? Or?
So I'm on the DDG committee.
Yeah,
yes.
Still.
So So I still have to pitch what my concept is, so that they've got, that they feel confident. Because I'm not an established director. I'm on the committee, so they know who I am, but they need to feel confident that I kind of know what I'm doing as a director, and where I wanted to do it, what my set design is, whether it's feasible financially for DDG to be producing. And I did actually originally want to set it in a physical bar, so I was scouting bar spaces across Dubai, and then COVID happened, and they were the first thing that shut down. So I'm like, oh. So this has been bubbling away in my brain for the last 2 years, which I think has been quite nice, because as time passed, I got more excited about it, which I took as a very positive sign that I'm not getting bored of the concept, and it just allowed me to develop my ideas more concretely, which then I think gives confidence for the actors as well, that they know, okay, this is someone who knows what they're doing, is open to ideas, but there's a clear, a director is the captain. They've still got to be taking in the input and the expertise of the other team members, but they're the ones that set the course. So I thought that was important, that I'm very clear as to what my vision is, so that they also know what they're signing up for as well.
Well done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she was amazing. Really.
I work with her.
What was your favorite part of working with each other?
I'll go first. Yeah.
Rehearsals were great. Like, I can't even describe to you, it's the first time that I have felt in someone else. So I direct kids theatre. So like, for example, I'll have a group of 75 students where I used to be a drama teacher, and I would have 75 kids on a stage doing all sorts of amazing things of a script that I had written. And I have left that for 2 years. And so I have been away from that environment where rehearsals are fun and rehearsals are family. I'm very big on that, because in South Africa, that's how we are trained. You are trained that these people that you are surrounded by are your people, and you need to look after them on stage, off stage, backstage, wherever. And I think that that's something that, because the Dubai theatre scene is very new, and I say that because it's kind of gotten to a space where it's now starting to turn over into spaces, which is very exciting, but it's taken a long time to get there. So it's very new in what it is. And I think that it's been very, very interesting to see how in rehearsals, I had that feeling. So like, I would come home to my husband and I would still be smiling, and he hasn't actually experienced that side of my acting in 6 years. Unless it was a rehearsal that I was in charge of, because then I was really in charge of making that environment good for my students. And so then to have Kirin do that, and then Roya to be with me, and like, it's just such an easy relationship. It's ensemble ethics, so it's working with one another to better the production in every way. And I think that for me, rehearsals have been my favorite thing, because we've learned so much about each other. Like, Kirin instituted a thing called the tidbits at the start of every rehearsal. So every rehearsal, we learned these random facts about each other. Like, no one cares, but we care, and we know them now. And I think that that really cemented the bond between us. And I've missed that in Dubai. I've missed the ensemble. I've missed the family, the protection of, we've got each other and we're okay. And I think that that was very clear in rehearsals, literally, guys, from day one. And I cannot express to you, as someone who is a dramatist full-time, that doesn't happen in every space. And I think that's really special. So I loved that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh no. Probably my favorite part with working with Lauren, as we've mentioned before, is that she's Stanislavski trained, which is completely different to what I usually do. So just having like her, learning her different ways, and I think it made like the character stuff so much easier to play, because I was like, this is a character that's already built, so let me find her layers. And I think Kirin and Lauren both gave me like so many resources and so many questions to go home with, and so much time just spent on our character, like hours and hours and hours of just like Kirin's psychology training, and then Lauren's Stanislavski training. So just learning their different ways and applying that to my character has been great. And also my favorite part is that every day in rehearsals, Kirin would come with snacks.
It's true.
And that is
she
the
does
best.
nothing snacks.
I think that is the best thing.
You literally
yeah, it was so good.
We're like, where's Roya? And then she's in the corner eating snacks. Amazing.
That's right.
I would say for me, because as someone, I haven't received any like professional training. I've learned kind of on the go, and so it was really interesting to work with Lauren and sort of understand, like my approach is Stanislavski, and I never knew that. So that's sort of really nicely clarified things. And I'd say something else I really enjoyed was, Lauren's got far more experience than I do in terms of sound design and set design and costumes and all of those pieces, and I found that really, really helpful for her to be so open and so generous with her expertise as well, that I felt like, and a lot of time it was, good, like, yes, I'm making the right decision, because we were so in sync. Like there was a song that we both wanted, that I wanted to do, Behind the Wall, Tracy Chapman. She's like, I know this song. I'm like, that's the song I picked.
It was weird, guys. It was so at times, yeah.
So yeah, it definitely felt like it was a team, which was great. And I hope that also, because I think sometimes with Roya being younger, it can feel, you run the risk of, I'm the student, so I shouldn't say anything, and I should just do what the adults are telling me to do. And I'd like to think we made it comfortable enough for Roya to. Because she's got, she had some really wonderful ideas as well, and so yeah, it was always bouncing off each other and sort of checking in as to, does this make sense to you? Is this consistent with the character and all of that?
One last question before we wrap this up.
Well, I've got one more. I was already doing this to you, Roya. Now are you going to study Stanislavski?
I have no idea.
I mean, in all honesty, I have no idea. The whole dream is to go off to New York and study in a big Ivy League school, and I don't know what the courses are.
Study what?
In a big Ivy League school. So, study acting. Study, yeah. So the dream is maybe Juilliard. So aiming high. Go to Juilliard and do theater, and then once I'm in theater, then expand it, maybe go into film. So in Los Angeles. But just, all the different things. So if Stanis is there, I'll join him.
Bro.
He's
But
there.
There's so many. He's just one of the various. I honestly think you could be a Meisner girl. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's taking all these different parts.
What works for you?
What works for you, yeah.
And vocals and
Yeah.
all of the above.
Exactly. So you'll find
Good luck.
loads.
Thank you.
Any
Yeah.
final
Thank you so
words,
much.
guys?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
just thank you. Thank
Good
you for
luck
being
for
such a great
tonight
audience.
also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Closing night, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.